There are things known, and there are things unknown. And in between are the doors of perception. And the doorways of perception are now open. All around us, there exist worlds of the seen and the unseen. In a universe of endless possibilities, we should never limit ourselves to a single perspective. For in order to hunt the shadows and become true explorers of the unknown and the unexplained, we must sometimes take a paranormal point of view.
Good evening, fine people. This is your humble host, Mr. Dennis Carroll, and this is another episode of Paranormal Point of View, episode 115, actually, as we gather here on this I think is the last day of May. We're going into June here. Want to welcome you all aboard. Some of the new people that's maybe your first time. Welcome to you and to a lot of the people who have gotten free memberships and become shadow hunters. I want to welcome you as well. Welcome all of you to the show tonight. We're going to have a little bit of an open mic tonight. I'm going to be telling a story later on, so you want to stick around for that. I think it'll be one of the most unusual stories you have ever heard, and I'll make it worth your while, definitely. But we're just going to have an open mic night and talk a little bit about what we want to talk about. I thought I would wear my hat tonight and put those cryptid cowboys to shame. Yep, I've got a hat too, okay? And I know how to wear it. All right. Hello, I want to welcome you all in here as the ever lovely Shiro is with us, and of course, Mr. Midwest Night Watcher himself, Mr. Gerald Fountain. Want to welcome him. Want to welcome Blazer is here. Want to welcome Blue Eyed Bandit and Joanne and Kyle Smith. My nephew Kyle Smith has made it in the house here. Jason Finch. Hello, Jason. Good to have you here, brother. And let's see what else we got. Slowly starting to gather here. Christopher Alexander, also known as Muschetti, also known as LBP. Okay, well, I remember that, LBP. Okay, that's easier to say. Okay. Welcome aboard. Good to have you here with us. Welcome to the Wolf Pack. That's what we call ourselves. We're the Shadow Hunters. Absolutely. And don't forget, I will remind you again later on tonight, but my brother Gerald Fountain on his Rumble channel, his movie and TV show Rumble channel, is going to be showing one of my favorite old movies. You do not want to miss this great. It's a very eerie movie, and then that way you know I definitely like it. But it's called The Abominable Snowman. And you don't want to miss it. A great old movie from the 50s. And he's going to have it on his show there later after the show tonight. Yeah. Here it is. Here's the link for it right there. You don't want to miss it. I will be watching. I got to pop some popcorn here. Okay. But we will definitely be watching this. That's one of my favorite old shock theater movies there. When I was a kid, we used to have a show that came on Saturday afternoons called Shock Theater. And it ran a lot of the old movies, the old Universal monster movies and all that stuff. And I was going to ask if anybody in the audience got a chance to check out that movie I recommended the other day. Monster. It's... tilt my hat back a little bit here. I got a little shade on me here. It's called The Monster. And believe me, if you haven't seen it, you need to check it out. It's a little gory, but the story is really not about the monster. Is sort of on the sidelines in the story. What's so interesting about it is the relationship between the little girl and her mother. Her mother is a piece of trash. Okay, her mother's real trashy alcoholic, and and so they do definitely do not get along at all with each other. So, but how it progresses and everything is fascinating to watch. Oh, the monster ain't bad either, by the way, folks. Definitely, he's a great monster. So you need to check it out, The Monster. Okay, if you get a chance, definitely. I haven't had a chance to watch too many movies here lately, but that's a good one. Absolutely. I put my glasses on because I need them to see with. Okay, and if anybody's throwing insults at me, I need to read them. Okay, but anyway, um, we're slowly starting to gather here. That's good. That's okay. We've always got some stragglers, but that's okay. Better late than never. You're still welcome here if you show up a little late. Don't worry about that. Hello, Dwarf. My brother Dwarf has checked in here. BFD, Bigfoot Dwarf. The chat's a move. There's Jose Rivera. Hello. New comments coming up here. It's moving pretty fast here. That's why I'm reading your comments. Okay, if I get quiet, I haven't dozed off yet. Christopher Alexander. I'm really looking forward to your show, so thank you, Jose. Glad to hear that, buddy. Jose, or is that Josie? Am I pronouncing that right? Let me know if I'm not. Hi. But yeah, I've been working. I've been doing a lot of work on my book. I've been working a lot on the book. It's getting ready to. It's gonna be a little while yet before I turn this baby loose. But it is getting more interesting. It's too darn interesting for me to put down yet. But paracryptidology is getting more and more fascinating, and to me, it is. I'm finding more and more cryptids every which way I turn around, folks. There's a whole lot more out there, my friends. A whole lot more interesting things out there than Bigfoot and Dogman. Okay, there's more to it than that, my friends. Don't get bored. This book's not going to let you get bored with that. Okay, absolutely. We're going deep into paracryptidology to hunt monsters and things of nightmare. And tonight, that's what the name of this show's got a little bit of a name to it. Little monsters. We're going to talk a little bit about the little monsters. You never hear much about them. You only hear about the big monsters, like Bigfoot and Dogman and Lizard Man and some of these other ones. What about the little guys? They're just as mean and downright evil as the rest of them. Look at the Puckwudgies. Look at the Hobgoblins. They're all supposed to be a bunch of little guys, okay? You got elves, you got the red caps, you've got the gnomes. They can be monsters, little guys, too. They can cause you a whole lot of trouble. But you never hear too much about them. Very humid here today, huh? Well, that's interesting, Julian. Absolutely. Yeah, duendes. 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 I guess that was how you pronounce that. I may be pronouncing it wrong. My Spanish is very bad. Jose. Okay, I just want to make sure because there is a girl that comes on here that spells her name kind of like Josie is a little bit close to that. I just wanted to make sure I was not mispronouncing your name. My little monsters had their last day of school today. That's the other little monsters you got to watch out for. Okay. Yep, those little monsters can get you real quick. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I was with the Josie and the Jose. I was looking for a little uh aperture there, you know. They don't, but I don't think keyboards are really good with that. But anyway, well, thank you, Jason. I love talking. uh, my mother always told me I could talk before I could walk. But anyway, it must be the Irish in me. I don't know if I have a silver tongue, but I had a silver spoon once. But that's the long story. We're going to be talking about knifeware tonight. Okay, I've got a very interesting story. Story for you, so hang in there for the end of the show. I'm going to be talking about the knife of evil. Okay, you want to hear this story? It's very interesting. Absolutely, and got a lot of history with it. The knife of evil. There are certain cursed items. You know, we've been talking about Annabelle recently. Supposedly, she got lost somewhere in Texas, but they found it again. That is definitely one item I don't think you'd want to lose. You really don't want to have it around, but you definitely want to know where it's at all times, definitely. But cursed items can be a problem. And this knife we're going to talk about tonight is definitely a cursed object. Absolutely. I'm part Irish. My name's an Irish girl. Okay, blue-eyed bandit. All right. There's something special about the Celtic people. You know, they were closer to the land. They had a mystical side to them that's very interesting. They are very, very interesting people, definitely. I'm gonna have to do a show one day on the again on the Irish fairies and the Tuatha and all of that. Well, it's very interesting stuff. And of course, the Irish had werewolves, and their werewolves were more like guardians than that. And they also had a special group of soldiers who were like werewolves. They were wolfmen, or wolf walkers, as they called them. I'll have to tell you someday about the Irish wolf walkers. Very interesting stuff. The Irish wolf walkers. Yeah, that was yeah. Shanty really enjoyed it. I like to hear. I like to make her laugh. I love to hear her laugh. I like it. That's one thing I always liked about with women. I have a tendency to make them laugh at me. I'm a natural born comedian when it comes to women. But she enjoyed it. I always enjoy talking to her. She's a great lady. Absolutely. Right now, I'm trying to fix it up so that I can send her a couple of my books, but it's going to cost an arm and a leg to ship them to South Africa. Woo. Now, want to warn everybody now. I've got several people who've inquired about the the Star of the Seven Angels pennant, which I'm wearing tonight. Don't know if you can see it on that camera, but there it is. I'm wearing one tonight. We're running out, okay? If you want one of these, you better speak up now because I know I will never be probably able to get any more, okay? So I'm not just telling you that to try to sell them. I mean, I'm warning you. If you want one, I hate to see anybody that wants one not be able to get one, okay? And if you want one, you definitely want to get in touch with me about this, okay? And we will, if you want it, we will definitely put you one in the mail. They are, I sell them for $9.95, and shipping is $5. Okay, so the whole thing is $15 if you decide you want one, but you better hurry up because they are running out, and once they're gone, they may be gone for good. I'm sorry, but that may be it. And what I like about these seven archangels, it has been used in magic and alchemy over the years, but it is a good symbol of a petition to the angels. It's a good symbol, and especially when I bless these medallions, and that imbues them with good power. That imbues them with a good blessing for you to wear. And that's another good part of it as well. They are very good religious symbols. There's nothing bad about them. This is not witchcraft or anything. I don't deal in that stuff, okay, folks? You know that. You know me better than that. I do not mess around dealing with witchcraft items and stuff like that. I don't do that. This is a good symbol. It's like a cross in many ways. It's a good religious symbol, or Saint Christopher's medal, or a Saint Benedict or whatever. This is one of those like that. The seal of the seven archangels. It's got all of their names on it, and all it is just their seal. It's their symbol. It's a ward. Now, I don't know if I've ever explained this to you. What a ward is. There can be evil wards, and there can be good wards. A ward is just like, it's not a spell or hex or anything like that. Okay, they can be that way though. If you're dark and into dark and evil, black magic and witchcraft, you can have a bad evil ward. But a ward just simply means something put in place, a guard. It's a guard. That's why you call a warden of a prison the warden. That's where he gets his name. He is in charge of the ward. The ward is the place where they are guarded. Let's see. So a ward is a guard. It can be an evil guard or be a good guard. And this medallion is a good guard. Okay. I don't deal in anything that's bad. No, sir. So if you decide you want one, now's the time to speak up and let me know. All you got to do is get in touch with me and send me a money order for $15 and it's yours. Okay. There are negativity charged objects, definitely, and that's what I'm going to be talking about in a little while about the knife. There are some things that are just bad to the bone, my friend. Okay, they're just bad to the bone. You ever seen somebody like that? No matter how good you treat them, no matter how nice you be to them, no matter what stuff you give to them, and you can be friendly to them and all that, they're just bad to the bone. Then they don't care how they treat you or what they do. They're just downright evil. That's it. And that's their very nature. Well, objects can be that way too. Objects and even places can be that way. And even certain situations can be that way. Like I've talked about before in the past, I have put myself in dangerous situations on occasion. Like when I snuck in to see that black mass, or when I was watching that voodoo ceremony, and some other things that I'll have to relate to you later on one day, that I have actually put myself in extreme danger to learn the things that I have learned, to see the things I needed to see. And I have walked into the darkness far enough so I can come back and tell you about it and warn you about it. I have done that in the past, okay? And really, I've done some really stupid things. Looking back over time, when you're young, you do stupid stuff anyway. Miss Hattie Papa's in the house. Hello, dear. Good to have you here. This is a sweet lady. Howdy Pop is here with us. Good to have you here, my friend. Anyway, I'm crazy about her. She is a great woman. She is a great inspiration, by the way. She is a good inspiration to people, a real helper and a healer type woman, definitely. Good to have you here. Anyway, I've done that in the past, and let's get my Indiana Jones hat up here a little bit. I have done that in the past. You do stupid things, and you look back later and say, "Why in the world did I do that?" But at the time, it seemed like a good idea. That's that old joke about that guy, that took all of his clothes off one time and jumped in a whole patch of cactus. And they asked him later, "Why did you do that?" And the guy said, "Well, it seemed like a good idea at the time." Yeah, it can do that. It can be that way sometimes. And then you find out it wasn't. Hello, Tracy. But yeah, that's just the way we live and learn. Hopefully, we live long enough to learn from our mistakes. Definitely. My grandmother told me once years ago, bad things will happen to bad people. So you need, when bad things happen, you need to at least try to get some good out of it. Learn a lesson from it or whatever the situation. Try to get some good out of a bad thing. At least something you can take away that's good from it if you can. And that's very interesting words of wisdom there. That's the way we need to look at things. When bad things happen to us, maybe sometimes they happen because we need to be taught a lesson or we need to learn something out of that situation. And to me, that makes a lot of sense. And I have always lived my life that way. When bad things and good things too, for that matter, I learned from good things as well. I have found that the generosity of people can be very surprising. Yeah. They get out didn't think before we leaped. No, definitely not. I would not advise doing that. Don't do that at home, folks. I've run into some cactus before, and it is definitely an enlightening experience. Okay, put it that way. Yeah, but anyway, um, and out in the desert, you got a lot of cactus, but yeah, but the rain falls on the righteous as well as the wicked. It rains on the just and the unjust alike, as the Bible says. Absolutely, and that is very true. And I've had a lot of people ask me that over the years. So why did this bad thing happen to me, or what happened to that? But it happened. We all are subject to that. You can have all the money and the riches and power and glory in the whole world, and you still got to die one day and leave it. No matter what you got, you know, death is the great equalizer. It makes us all equal. An old man told me that one time years ago. He said, "You think you're a pretty big guy in this world? The graveyard is bigger." And that is very true. Yeah, the sun shines on the righteous and the unrighteous as well. Yep, things happen, but a lot of times people just get disgusted and say, "Why do these bad things happen to good people?" You know. Let me say this though. I've always said that. Okay, you never think about. Listen very closely to what I'm about to say. You never think about all the times that your automobile cranked and worked right. You only remember the times when it didn't. That's just human nature, okay? You'll remember when your car doesn't run, but when it runs, you don't think anymore about it. That's the way it goes with certain people. Be careful and cherish people that you love because one day they may not be there anymore, or your friends may not be there anymore. You need to tell them you love them now and do stuff for them now. Don't wait till they're gone when you'll be wanting to see them again one day. And here's another thing about that. It goes back to that. Being a lot of paranormal with me makes me a hometown of LA came tame, huh? That's interesting, Jose. Uh, anyway, I've talked about a lot of this in the past about respect. A lot of the younger people and the younger generation today, they just kick the older people aside. They think they know everything. They think they're experts on all this stuff. They think they're absolute fountains of knowledge. And yet they just disregard the greatest asset they have. They're elderly. They can learn so much from them. I have learned so much from my elders over the years. They are destroying and squandering a fantastic resource by not doing that, by just kicking the old people aside, get out of the way. And by the way, don't treat people that way. One day, if you live long enough, you will be old. If you're not stupid enough, somebody will kill you before then. You will be old one day. You will be treated that way. You will be kicked aside one day. Just wait. Mark my words. All right? So, respect your elders. If you don't learn to respect your elders, you definitely will learn to respect your betters. That's a quote directly from John Wayne, by the way. But that's the way that ball bounces. But nobody wants to hear that anymore. Yeah. And that's why I like folklore. You go back to what the old people said and the way they believed and saw things. They had a different paranormal perspective. That's what this show is named that for. Between the known and the unknown, you have the doors of perception, and they were perceiving things in a different way than we are. So to me, that makes perfect sense that you would go back and listen to what those people have to say about things. You are disregarding a fountain of knowledge that you could definitely need to drink at. Absolutely. I don't know. I don't know what some of these younger people learn about today. But I'm going to tell you something. It's like, and I put this in my book. I'm going to put this in my book. I was telling some of these younger cryptid researchers and all that. I said, don't, kick this old man aside just yet. Okay. Because I was out looking for monsters when you were dragging doopy droppers around out there. And you're dragging droopy droppers around, and you wasn't even a gleam in your daddy's eye. That's how long I've been around, okay? But yet they don't want my experience. They don't want to hear my experience. They don't want to hear my point of view on it. That's the way they roll. They don't listen. You'll never learn anything that way, my friends. If you think you know everything, you'll never learn. Because nobody knows everything. I don't know everything. I'm still learning. I will be learning till the day they shovel dirt in my face. If I'm not, then I'm already dead. Okay? That's the way that goes. But, I'm not going to get on. I'm not going to preach a sermon on that tonight, okay? But that's the way this goes. And that really bugs me, though. That's one of the things that really bugs me. It's not just they disrespecting me. They're disrespecting a whole generation of people, That's just stupid. How stupid can you get, Life's hard. It's harder when you're stupid. That's another John Wayne quote for you. That's two of them in one night. What do you think about that? But anyway. Yeah, we got to keep learning. If we stop learning, we're dead. That's it. I mean, what good are you? What good are you really? But they don't believe that. They think they they know everything. It gets me too. You can read a couple of books. You instantly think you're a researcher, an expert on that. I'm going to tell you something. I never called myself an expert on anything. I'm not an expert on anything. Nobody is. Really. I don't know where that got started, okay? The only true teacher of this stuff, my friends, is experience. That's what counts. Experience. And what else? Seniority. That's what should count. They should count in this world, but they disregard that, see? They don't want to hear your experience. They don't want to know your experience. They don't want to learn anything from that. How stupid can you be? I don't know. It's crazy. Crazy. But that's one thing that really bugs me. I hate to see them disrespect a whole generation of people, you know? But that's the way it goes. I'll tell you one thing about me. You don't disrespect anyone in front of me. I'll hit that. I'll hit that reset button so fast you won't know what happened. You know what I mean? I don't like that. We are all children of God. We all deserve a certain amount of respect for that. For that alone. You know? But some people don't see it that way either. I got Blue Eye. They're pretty good. I'm going to put that up for everybody to read there, in case somebody missed that one. Respect's always a two-way street. If you want respect, you got to give respect. You know, if you don't give respect, I don't see why you get it. You know, you don't deserve it. If you don't give it, you don't deserve getting it. It's a two-way street. All of life is a two-way street. I don't know of anything in life that runs one way for everybody. I mean, that's just, you know, the way that goes. Oh well, some people who make a hobby of dissing people, my friend, they make a hobby of downing people. I think a lot of times they have such a real, true low self esteem that they've got to try to tear other people down to their level. You know what I mean? Don't let them do that to you, my friend. Don't let them take you down to their level. You know, you can be better than that. You know, when they go low, you can go high. You know. You can do better than that. You don't have to be like them. You know. Mm. But if they see you shining too bright, they get jealous about things. You know. Oh God, yeah. A lot of stuff in this world is done through jealousy. People are jealous of other people. They see what they've got, or they see how they doing. They just get downright mean, hateful, evil with their jealousy, and they will do anything. You know, when they get jealous like that, you better watch out. They pull out all the stops sometimes. They will destroy you if necessary. If they get real jealous of you, because they really can't stand the sight of you. And everything that you do, they hate it. They can be among your worst enemies, my friend. The people that are jealous of you. Oh, yeah. That's like I said on Shanty's show yesterday, you know. All snakes don't crawl around on their belly. Some of them walk around on two legs. That's very true. I've run into a lot of them, I know. I've had the occasion to do that. You never know when you will run into those agents of evil. It's like that story I told about the two Skinwalker, Cherokee Skinwalker sisters that I ran into. You could feel evil that night, definitely. When somebody holds a knife to you to cut your throat, they're not usually, got your best interest at heart. You know what I mean? Well, I've actually, known some people that have married people like that. I came close to that myself a few times. Um, that's a bad situation to get into. I had a fiance one time, and my friend, she was a vision of loveliness. She was beautiful. on the outside. But it turned out she wasn't so beautiful on the inside. And we were planning on getting married. We were going to get married. And I found out, and that's a long story. I'll tell you all about it someday. Maybe when looking back on it's been many years ago. But I found out she liked my so-called best friend better than me. Well, I ended up with one ex-fiance and one ex-friend. Okay. But I ended up a better, smarter man in the end. Wiser, anyway. So Heidi says we missed her Charlize's chat, huh? Oh, I have to go back and check that. I must have missed that one, too. Yeah, I think somebody was looking out for me, Heidi, definitely. Absolutely. Well, like I said, she was very beautiful on the outside, and I found out just how ugly she was, you know. I have seen that over the years. Beautiful people on the inside, it always shows up on their outside. Okay, and eventually evil people will do the same. Evil will show out up on the outside as well. Just watch, you know. It usually can't hide itself for very long. And that's good, though. We need to know the real people that we're dealing with a lot of times. Absolutely. Because, like we've said so many times, a lot of these things, it's not just Hollywood, it's not the media, it's not a lot of things. A lot of things in this world are not what they appear to be for a reason. The good guys are not going around sneaking around, misrepresenting themselves, talking in code, and trying to hide stuff from you. Okay? The good guys don't do that. The bad guys, on the other hand, that's their job right there. Okay? That's their job description. Why are they secretive and sneaking around doing things from the dark and the shadows? Because that's what they are, darkness and shadow, my friends. Absolutely. But evil's that way. That's the nature of evil. And that's why I tell everyone, I tell you tonight, you know that you need, don't be evil now. I'm not telling you to get involved and obsessed with it, but you need to study it and understand it, how it works. You know, you will benefit from that. Okay. Don't go through life with blinders on. You know what blinders are on a horse? They put the blinders on a horse so it can only see in one certain direction. It can't see what's going on around it. Do not live your life with blinders on. Okay? Take the sunglasses off once in a while and really look around. Okay? You got to really look around because everything in this world, evil is very good at misrepresenting itself. Absolutely. That's part of his natural being to misrepresent itself. And it will try to misdirect you. It will try to do the illusion thing on you, you know? It's kind of like that guy that married the model, you know, that night when she took all the stuff off, she took the falsies off, she took all the makeup off, took her teeth out and everything else. There wasn't much of a woman left. Okay. He got surprised, did he not? Okay. So that's the way it goes. Everything may not be what it appears to be. Absolutely. You're taking a pet, you'll see true colors of your spouse. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that's very good example. I have seen women that just scream at their children, shout and go on, and they won't do anything with them. They want them to leave them alone, let the TV raise them and all that. And then you got real mothers that care about their children, that want to be involved with their lives and to help them grow and understand things and be an example to them. Those are the real good parents, my friends, mothers and fathers that do that. But the other ones, they're not parents. They don't even deserve children. They do not deserve children. They don't even deserve dogs or cats, much less children. Okay. They don't deserve anybody like that because why? There's nobody with enough room in their life for nobody but their self. That's the way that goes. But I don't know. That's the sad fact of today. They let movies and TV raise their children for them because they didn't want to be involved in their lives. They had too much going on. They were too self-centered to have to be involved in their children's lives. The children pay for that. I feel sorry for the children. I don't feel sorry for the parents. They're just being stupid anyway. We know that. But the children are the ones that are the real victims here, not the parents. Although this is a sad commentary on the parents that they've been brought up that way or they live their life that way. They are blind, okay, considering what they truly are. But that's the way narcissistic people work. And a lot of these people are downright demon possessed people. They have given themselves over to that darkness and they can have and see only one thing that they want in this world, whatever it has to do with them. It's me, I. That's the way they talk all the time. Me. What's in it? They can't have anybody or love anybody else in their lives but themselves. Those are the worst people of all, my friend. Don't ever be that way. I can't stand those kind of people. I can't. I don't want to spend time around those kind of people. And here's the thing about it: you don't want to definitely marry one. That way, you would have to spend too much time with them. You don't want to do that. You definitely don't. But if you're not married to them, at least you can walk away, and say, "Hey, I'm going somewhere else. I'm not going." We've got already too much negativity in our lives to embrace it in any way. We don't want to embrace that negativity. But that's the way I go. I said that's about mothers having to raise the children, one parent thing. You are heroes. You definitely are heroes. Okay, and your children are looking up to you more than any of the rest because you got to be father and mother to them. And I tip my hat if I had my hat on. I tip my hat to you. Okay, because you are a hero. You are filling in for two sets of shoes and not just one. Okay, and that right there, my friends, is the epitome of love for your children. Okay, if you'll do that and be involved in their lives and raise them along like that, it's a hardship. I know it's a hardship. It's a hard thing, but look at the reward that you get from it. That's the main thing. You have children to grow up that will respect you and understand you better than some other people's parents have done them. You know what I'm saying? You are definitely a hero in my book. They ought to give you a medal. That's all I got to say about that. But that's the way I look at it. Life is hard enough. When you get served an even bigger dish of stuff, it's hard to do with sometimes. Definitely. Well, it's like what the Bible says, about a virtuous woman. Her children and her children's children will rise up and call her blessed. That's the kind of women we're talking about here. You know, absolutely. As the Bible also says of a good woman, how can you measure her worth? She is much greater than gold or diamonds or jewels. And of course, that goes with men too. Whoever, it's not just the women. Men who are raising their children. Yes, absolutely. You're heroes too. Absolutely. Don't want to leave you out. No, no. Any one parent situation is a hard to handle thing, okay? And if you're doing that good with it, then you need to pat yourself on the back. Absolutely. You need to take a round of applause on that because at least you are living up to your responsibility, you know? And that's the main thing about this life that we live. We all have responsibilities. Most people spend most of their time trying to get out of their responsibilities. That's not good. That's never good. You're not a good person when you do that. I'm sorry to say it, but you're not. You got to own up, man up, woman up to your responsibilities. And if you have children, that's your responsibility. That's a lifelong responsibility, by the way, folks. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You don't just have a child and go on and do something else later on down the line and forget all about them. No. Those child is your responsibility. That's part of you that you brought into this world. And for you to not pay attention to that, that's ridiculous. Now, if you're a single parent, you are taking responsibility. That's good. That's nothing wrong with that at all. That is something good. You got more guts than some people do. Absolutely. Put it that way. But anyway, that's all about, that's respecting yourself too when you live up to your responsibilities. We talked about respecting other people, but you need to respect yourself enough to live up to your responsibilities as well. Don't be a disrespectable person in any way. And that includes with your responsibilities, that includes with other people, it includes your job, your studies, whatever the situation is. Don't be disrespectful with it. Absolutely not, especially with children, and your responsibilities for them. I look at children as a God given responsibility, God's depending on you to raise those children right, too. You know what I'm saying? He really is. Because that's your responsibility, you know? Absolutely. But anyway, don't forget now, Gerald's show tonight. After the show tonight, he's gonna do he's gonna be doing movies for you out there. He's gonna be doing the Abominable Snowman. You won't see this one. It's a great old movie. Got Forrest Tucker and one of my favorite actors, uh, Peter Cushing. Oh, the great Peter Cushing. He's great. I always liked him. He plays the best Van Helsing I know of. Absolutely. But I was telling somebody about that the other day. We were talking about the original Dracula, and I think my Gerald has run Dracula before. I love Dracula, by the way. It's like a work of art, you know. But my favorite line in the whole movie is probably what Dracula says to Van Helsing. For someone who has lived not even a single lifetime, you are a wise man, Van Helsing. That's a great line. A great line. And it does echo the one in the book. That's a great book. I read that book at least twice a year, maybe sometimes more. I read Frankenstein and Dracula. Those are two of my favorite novels. I read them every year. And I also read, of course, I also read Christmas Carol, which is my favorite thing. I always read that around the holidays. And I'll tell you another one of my favorite books I haven't read in a long time, but I need to go back and read again. Great Western Shane. I like the way Shane ends. Little boy, in the movie, the little boy runs after him, come back, Shane, come back, Shane. But I like the way it ends. Is this is what it says at the end of Shane? It says, um, Shane, he rode out of the great glowing west and did what he had to do. and then rode back again. And he was Shane. Great novel. Great novel, my gosh, yeah. And you see this whole story from that little boy's eyes, how he idolizes Shane, and finds out that Shane is just a regular guy like everybody else. Great novel. Great novel, Shane. I was always thought if I had a son, I would have named him Shane. Great movie too, by the way. Great Western. Oh, that's another good movie I recommend for you to watch. If you've never watched it, you need to do yourself a favor and watch Shane. Absolutely. Great movie. Okay, it's getting up here to story time. Oh. Hold on just a second here. Okay, I'm back. I'm square tonight. Usually it's round. Okay. I'm going to tell you the story tonight about the knife of evil. It is said that back many years ago, the knife began as a rather large hand-sized stone. That it was part of an iron meteorite that fell upon the earth many centuries ago. And this was the stone, they said, that was in the hand of Cain when he smashed his brother in the head and killed him when he killed Abel. And that's how it began. And then years later, an evil blacksmith found the stone, smelted the iron, and made the knife. The knife had an interesting history to it. The knife was said to have been owned by a lot of different people. Some claimed that the knife was the knife that was used to assassinate Caesar. Caesar, Caesar, beware the Ides of March. It is said the knife was used to assassinate him by Brutus and his cohorts in Rome. From there, it is said that the knife came into the hands of Genghis Khan, who conquered most of the East with it around his belt. From there, it is said, this knife, which always requires its baptism of blood, and when it was first melted, it was baptized in evil blood. It always required a sacrifice. You never draw the knife unless you use it to take blood. And they said the knife also hung about the waist of Napoleon Bonaparte when he went forth conquering. It may have even once belonged to Alexander the Great himself. The knife had a long and dark history as it made its way down through the centuries from person to person. It is said that at one time the Borgias, especially Rodriguez Borgia, was an owner of the knife and used it to kill many enemies of his because it was a definitely sharp throat slitter. The evil knife, the knife of evil. It had a long and varied history. It is said that there are photographs that show this knife lying on the desk of Adolf Hitler, who used it for a letter opener, or so they say. And from there, the knife moved on. They say it was one of the kitchen knives in the home of Lizzie Borden. The knife has always been around wherever murder and blood has been spilt. And it goes on, it moves on down through history. They say it was once possessed by Charles Manson. And from there, it was owned by other people down through time. From one person to the next. A man named Richard Speck once owned it. And it left his hands to a pawn shop. It was bought from a pawn shop by someone else who took it out west. And it was used during the time of the murder of Billy the Kid. So the knife had a long and varied history, from person to person, from time to time, from event to event. The knife was always there. It was a supreme cursed object, forged, they said, by the hand of the devil himself. And yes, it was forged and bathed in the blood of evil, so that it could accomplish the dark and evil deeds that it always did. The knife of blood, my friends, is still out there. It's still out there in someone else's hand now. One day you may see it, and one day you may pass by where it is. One day you may hear about it in the news. Another public stabbing, another murder attributed to its record. But its record is long and dark and insidious. And they say the knife of evil will go on until the day of judgment dawns. Killing and getting its constant sacrifice of blood. How can one item be so evil? Well, we can always remember one thing about the knife of blood. One thing we can never forget. You can blame the knife, but you also must think of the hand that holds it as well. The two go together. You won't have one without the other. And that is the way that evil works, my friend. And that is the story of the knife of blood. How you like that? Watch out for that knife. I hope it's not in your possession. This knife's my letter opener, by the way. So there's your story time tonight. Absolutely. But I will very soon retell the story about the two Skinwalker sisters. A lot of people want to hear about that one. And I will be telling it very soon. Yeah, there's a thirsty knife, my friend. Absolutely. Anyway, I will be telling that again about that's one of my most interesting incidents. To this day, it's kind of puzzling to me, but I will tell that again. About there's a lot of new people that haven't heard it, like the Skinwalker sister story. You like it? They were quite a pair, definitely. I don't know. I have a funny feeling one day I may run into them again one day. I don't know. I hope not. I don't think that would be good. I don't know. Well, we've talked about this before. Not you can't call every one of these things a skinwalker. You're really wrong. Really, the skinwalker is a Native American thing, okay? But what the skinwalker basically is, it is a witch, okay? You have witches in every culture, not just the indigenous people of this country. You got them in every culture worldwide. You've got them in Japan. You've got them in China. You've got them in. You got got them among the Eskimos. You've got it in the European sector. Witches do one thing. One of the most premier witches' powers is being able to transform into things and being shapeshifters. That's one of the things, the supreme powers that the devil gives you. the ability to shape and change your shift and change your shape into different things. That's one of the powers, and the other power is to give you they will give you the illusion of the illusioners of grandeur, the illusion of glamour. That's another witchcraft attribute. The devil, God gives you gifts. God gives you gifts through the Holy Spirit. He gives you different. He gives you, different kinds of gifts. The gifts of knowledge, the gifts of discernment. Different. There are different gifts. The Holy Spirit. Satan also does that, but they're not good gifts. They're evil, dark, insidious gifts that he gives these people, and they have to do terrible and horrible things to get these gifts. That's what darkness and evil demands. Just like the story about the knife. It demands that blood sacrifice. It demands that sacrifice, and it's a horrible sacrifice. It's terrible things that you got to do in order to obtain these gifts. The devil does not give you God on one hand, gives you gifts out of the freeness of his heart. There's no strings attached to it. These gifts are free to you. You don't have to do anything for them. Satan, on the other hand, you got to work for his gifts. You got to give him something in return. That's just the way he works. Okay, no matter what the situation, Satan always demands payment. And believe you, my friends, believe you now, right now, you do not want to pay that price. Okay, you never want to pay that price. What he demands, because it's not just your soul; it's your complete destruction. You know. It's bad enough to lose your soul and then be destroyed completely on top of that. But that's the way he operates. That's what his whole focus is on. Yeah, bloodshed. There are certain swords, by the way, I was going to mention this. There are certain swords, they say, and I have several of them, that you never draw them out of the scabbard and put them back without them taking blood as a sacrifice and a payment. You're not supposed to resheath them without spilling blood. That's what, I think Jesus said to Peter, for those who live by the sword will die by the sword. And if you live by the sword, you can expect that, definitely. But that is the way that goes. Anybody else wants to say this is such dark humor? What's that? I missed some of your comments here. What's on? Bullshit. What he was meaning by that, though, sell your garments to the sword. In other words, he meant get ready for the fight that's coming. That's basically what that was all about. But he was warning Peter, not to deal in violence, okay? Because he told him, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And he actually healed that man's ear, put his ear back on, and healed his ear. Well, he was trying to warn Peter. Peter was hot headed, and he was very emotional, but he was also very unstable. Peter, from time to time, I think, was possessed in certain aspects. But anyway, he was trying to get Peter not to be violent. In other words, But what he meant when he said sell your clothes and buy a sword, he meant get ready for the fight. Gird yourself for the battle coming. That's basically what that means. That's an old medieval saying, by the way. Hello, Hans. Good to have you here. And Carolyn's in here too. Hello. So we're all getting ready to go watch Cheryl's movie channel here. And he's going to have the Abominable Snowman tonight. You want to see this movie. It's a good old movie. It's real eerie. I like the sound of the wind blowing in the mountains and all that. It's real eerie kind of a movie. It's kind of suspenseful. It's not that much horror, you know what I mean? But it's very suspenseful, and it's more like, I would say, horror adventure type movie. But it's not got that much horror to it. I mean, it's not that scary, but it's kind of eerie and suspenseful. Great movie though. I mean, it's got a good story to it. You're gonna enjoy it. Trust me. Good movie. The Abominable Snowman, and he is downright abominable. Absolutely. But we talked about that. Gerald and I did a show the other night on the Alpine Monsters and the Yeti. I didn't get to talk too much about the Yeti, but the Yeti is a fascinating thing. Like, um, it's not really white, like you see depicted in some of the pictures. It is really brown looking, and I don't know where they get the white. You see this in that movie too a little bit, I think, but it might would lose a lot of its color during wintertime. I don't know. From what I hear though, it's not most people that sight it, they see something brown, not white. And also that book I read, it was by the um by a guy that actually saw it. He tried to track it up into the mountain areas up in there. It was brown looking thing to him as well. So I don't know about it being a white looking version of Bigfoot, but it definitely is interesting. And Josh Gates actually came back with a very good cast of that thing that they found up there, and the cast can be seen. The track cast can be seen at Disney World, in Florida. They've got it in Adventureland or something like that. You can actually see it, the cast that he made. And also, I think, if I remember correctly, our good friend Adam Davies was in took him up through the Himalayas, and that's where they actually found that track up that way. Adam is a good friend of mine, and he's a good guy. I like Adam. And I'm trying to get him on the show one day. Definitely, you would enjoy listening to him. He has been all over the world, checking these things out. He's done some fascinating stuff. But yes, he came very close to the Yeti up there. It's a very interesting. But here's the thing about the abominable snowman. He's in such an abominable place to get to. There's the air is so thin you can't even go up there without oxygen tanks hardly on. All snow reminds me of a dream I had growing up. It was coming down the street and I had to save my family from it. You probably were thinking about the Bumble from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Remember the Bumble? Bumbles bounce. Yukon Jake talked about that. They bounce. Uh, that's what the Bumble part is short for, abominable. He is good for putting a star on the tree, though. Absolutely. But anyway, I will probably sign off here in a few minutes and let you all get ready to go watch Cheryl's movie channel on Rumble. Also, Jessica did a great show last night on the Loch Ness Monster, another one of my favorite cryptids. Be sure to check that one out, and on the Cryptid Huntress channel, and check that out if you get a chance. And go back if you missed the show with Shanti on Aquarius Rising Africa. Go check that out. And if you get a chance, you missed any of those. And also, Lord Starfox has dropped 3 shows with me on his channel, Star Fox channel. Go check it out. But they're also on my library. If you can't find his, you can find them in my library, okay? All you got to do is go to Hunting the Shadows channel, all right? Yeah, that was a good show on the Loch Ness Monster. He's one of my favorites. I've always wanted to go look for the Loch Ness Monster. Absolutely. He is great. And very interesting. Absolutely. But we will let you probably get going here and get ready to go watch your movies there. And Monday night, Gerald and I will be back with another episode of The Road Less Traveled. You might want to stick around for that. Who knows what we'll come up with next? Yes, please hit the like button. We have a Patreon if you would like to join that. We also, let me put some of these up for you right quick. I've got them here. This is the PayPal that you can donate if you want to donate through the PayPal. This is the Patreon if you want to go that route. And also, we have a Cash App. There's the Cash App. If you decide you want to donate to the show, you can do that there as well. But also, if you need to contact me, you can contact me at Dennis W. Carroll. If you want to talk about those 7 Angels necklaces or anything like that, you can contact me at DennisWCarroll.com or DennisWCarroll@gmail.com. Okay, and I will warn you again, if you're wanting one of those necklaces, you better let me know now because we're running out. We're running out. Time's running out. And like I said, they're $10 a piece, $9.95, but we're $5 shipping. Okay, and it's $15. Send me a $15 money check, and I will send you one. But hurry up because they are swiftly running out here. Okay, and I don't want anybody left out that can get that they can. Get you one, okay? Because, like I say, I cannot promise ever having any more back again, okay? And I want to thank all the mods that came in tonight. I want to thank all of our guests. And thank you all so much for being here and for your support of this channel. It means a lot to me, definitely. And Philip, you made it for the end, buddy. And I guess I will recap, but I will be on day shift the next 2 weeks, so I won't miss out for the next 2 weeks. All this time on night shift. Well, I know that can be the graveyard shift, huh? I worked it some myself. I know how that can be, definitely. Okay, Jose, you just you send me you send me your address, okay, and a money order. You can get money orders. Best place to get them are like a QT or gas stations, place like that. You can get money orders real easy. But there's a money order of $15, okay, that'll cover the shipping and everything. So, but do it quick, okay? Because like I say, they are running out, and I don't want to have to turn anybody away on that. So, and like I say, when they're gone, they're gone. But they are blessed medallions. They do not leave my hands without being blessed, okay, and anointed and blessed with holy water. So, if you decide you want one, now is the time to get with it. Absolutely. Okay. All right. But I wish I could give every single one of you one. I really do. But that would it's far out of my bank account. Now, if I could get my buddy Elon Musk to ever give me that jet, you know. I don't know what the holdup is. But anyway, I could fly around the country raising money for this stuff, couldn't I? But anyway. Come on, Elon, where's the jet? I know you can spare a jet, you know. You don't have to be real fancy, as long as it doesn't fall out of the sky when we fly in it. All right. Well, I appreciate you all being here tonight. It's been a good show, and I will definitely, I will tell you next time we meet about the two Cherokee Skinwalker sisters. Okay, absolutely, I will tell you all about that if you haven't heard it. And if you remember any of the other stories you want to hear again, ask me. I will gladly tell them over to you. Okay, because some people haven't heard them, and we got a lot of new people in here, so don't feel bad about asking. Always ask. Oh yeah, ask me. I can only tell you yes or no, right? So ask me. There's no harm in that. There's no such thing, my friend, as a stupid question. Only stupid answers, but no stupid questions. No question is stupid. If there's a question, it needs to be asked. Absolutely. And we do need to ask the questions. That's why we're shadow hunters here. Okay. We need to ask the questions about what's going on in the world around us. We need to investigate. All of us, listen, I want to say something. I'm tagged as an investigative researcher. We all need to be investigative researchers. We got to be investigative researchers. It's just very important that we do that in everything. Because, like I said earlier, everything in this world is not what it appears to be. Okay, I don't want to see you get fooled. That's the ultimate disrespect, is to fool somebody into believing something that's completely wrong. That is, in my book, one of the most, that and to insult your intelligence. And that's what that's doing. When they fool you, they're trying to insult your intelligence. Don't take that off anybody, okay? I don't want to see you take that off of nobody. So investigate, researching. Absolutely. Don't take my word. Don't take anybody's word for it. Investigate. Find out for yourselves. You need to do that. You need to do that. It's very, very important. I can't stress that enough. Okay. All right. You have your assignments. All right. Well, thank you so much for all of you being here tonight. It's been great. And take care of yourselves out there. I hope you have a smashing, glorious weekend. And do something fun, okay? Go out and find a little peace, quiet, get away from everything for a little while, and just let your mind clear out and think good thoughts and find that inner peace that you need. That's very important. Yeah, and definitely I'll be seeing the rest of you at Rumble later on tonight. We'll be watching the movie. And until we get together again, my friends, take care of yourselves. Remember, between the known and the unknown, wait the doors of perception. All right? Don't forget that. And until we get together again, Godspeed and Vaya con Dios.
I walked in a room cold as the tomb. Ghosts whispered secrets of doom. Eyes wide open, felt the gloom.